Welcome back, duelists, to Old Format Yu-Gi-Oh! Today, we are announcing a new tournament, and this time, we're going to be running Edison Format. Very popular among the community right now, so we're all quite excited to get into it, and fortunately for all of you, the tournament, at the time of this recording, has already been completed. I'm just working on editing all the rounds and getting basically all those videos on YouTube, but I want to do them daily like I did last time, and there's a lot more this time. Thankfully, I switched to post-commentary, so it'll be a lot faster. This time, let's talk a bit what we are getting ourselves into. This is just the Format Library deck gallery, and as you can see, I'm just going to do a quick scroll. There are tons of playable decks. Granted, some of these are pretty similar to each other, but either way, it's still a very, very diverse format. Main ones being Black Wings, Vayu Turbo, Diva Hero, Light Sworn. I don't know if I call Gladiator Beast, they haven't done too much lately. Quick Draw Plants, Fairies, Frog Monarchs, Dragon Turbo, and Machina Gadgets. That's a good one. Oh, Zombies, my apologies. I always forget about Zombies. At this point, there's been several tournaments in Edison Format with various winners and various innovations to the format. This is really the most recent format to take off, with the first one being Goat Format and the third being followed by Hat Format, which still isn't too huge compared to Edison. But yeah, and most of this was spearheaded by E3 Yu-Gi-Oh!, also known as Ed and Edison, just putting out content constantly, and we hope to add to that a bit, add to the hype a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about the rules of our tournament, and I know this might look a bit confusing, but I think this little picture will sum up everything we decided to do. We ended up going with a point-buy system, which is kind of based off of D&D, where you use X amount of points to buy the stats for your character, and as the stats get higher, they cost more points. We decided to use that, but instead for kind of a tier list of the decks. So tier 1 is 5 points, tier 2 3 points, tier 3 1 point, and tier 4 being 0 points. Now, this tier list is going to be very controversial at this point because we made this months ago, I think back in January or December. So we'll talk a bit about the controversy. Is going to buy or pick 6 decks from this list. Each player is going to get 14 points total, with 2 exceptions. The top 2 from the last tournament being Josh and Mark, who are on Battery Man and Nordics, are going to get 16 points. If you remember me, in the finals of that, I did mention that they were going to get kind of a leg up in the next tournament. So we'll see if that ends up mattering, actually. Now, each player is going to have 6 decks. They're all going to be fully constructed. They make them and submit them to me. During a match, which is going to be 4 rounds of Swiss, they will pick 4 of their decks, and their opponent will ban 1 of them. So in the end, it's going to be 3 decks. Matches are going to be best 3 out of 5, basically meaning that you have to win once with each of your decks, and once you win with one of them, you can't use it anymore, you move on. These are only going to be game 1s, because if they were matches, so help us God how long this would take. We considered a match format with 3 decks, but we figured to get kind of people in our friend group into Edison, why not go with 6 decks, just to experience the format a bit more, because there are some truly fun decks that we would consider tier 4 or tier 3. So with no siding involved, and siding being one of the most skillful parts of Yu-Gi-Oh!, we decided to go with the 3 out of 5 system to keep it a bit more balanced, and also to add on to no siding. The winner of a match has to declare what deck they are going to be playing next, with the first match being completely random with each deck that the players pick. The loser is allowed to switch decks if they want, so they can switch into a better matchup provided that they have one. And lastly, the loser will always go first. So given these 3 rules, we think that without siding, it's still a bit equal on the deck switching basis. We don't know for sure, obviously, but we just thought it'd be fun. And in the end, this tournament was actually pretty fun, despite it taking a long time. We won't talk about that. Okay, with hopefully the rules out of the way, let's talk a bit about the decks and our regrets, you could say, for what tiers we placed them in. First off, for Tier 1, Black Wings, Disaster Dragon, Diva Frogs, Diva Heroes, Fish OTK, Lightsworn, Turbo Dragon, and Vayu Turbo. Most of these were fine. Hindsight, Fish OTK probably could have been bumped down to Tier 2, I would say at max. Tier 3, I mean, it's not doing anything tournament-wise, but it's a very strong deck. It plays Substitute, can't do much about that. Everything else was pretty solid. Tier 2, Diva Zombies, Fairies, Glads, Hero Beat, Light Zombie, Machina Gadgets, Monarchs, Plant Dragons, and Quick Draw Plant. Let me go through it itemized-wise. Diva Zombies probably could have went to Tier 1 in hindsight. Fairies as well, but it would have made Tier 1 a bit large, but I think it deserves to be up there. Glads, they were fine at Tier 2, I think. Hero Beat, good. Light Zombies, this could have been honestly put down to Tier 3 or Tier 4. They didn't do anything. I don't think anyone picked the deck either, but you will see in a little bit. Machina Gadgets, strong tier 2 contender. Same with Monarchs. This is without Diva or anything. It was just going to be straight Monarchs. Plant Dragons was a deck that won a local or little tournament recently, and we thought it was cool, but it was mostly just, kind of like Turbo Dragon, so we decided to put it in tier 2. And Quick Draw Plant definitely could have been in tier 1 in hindsight. On a tier 3, we have Athena, Diva Flip, Equipment Cat, Flamevell Sworn, Monster Mash, or let me go through these one at a time, actually. Flamevell probably could have been a bit higher, honestly, like maybe tier 2. There's been a lot of developments with the Flamevell stuff recently, and it's been solid. Norliers is a fun one, probably tier 3 is fine. Polyfrogs. This was a deck that Rognak developed a couple weeks ago, I think, when this was made, and it was a very strange deck. It had like 48 or 53 cards. It played Sphere of Chaos, and I think I put a big little parenthesis next to this saying, if you don't know what you're doing, don't pick this deck, and no one picked the deck, so we don't have to worry about it. But if I asked him, he'd probably say put it in tier 2 or tier 1, who knows. Psychics, Rescue Cat, Six Sam, Spaceship, Stun Daily could have been in tier 2, and X-Sabers. I think tier 3 was mostly fine. Tier 4, Aliens, nothing. Ancient Gears was a big one. This was about a week or two before Ancient Gears were really discovered as a deck, before they topped anything. This could have easily been put in tier 3, or probably even tier 2, so it's funny too, because no one ended up picking Ancient Gears. So what are you going to do? And I'm just going to quick go through these. Chaos was pretty strong, actually. People ended up kind of just playing it like, the good stuff kind of deck. It was a good one. This probably could have been put into tier 3 in hindsight. Dark Gaia as well. I know recently there's been some evil hero developments. A couple people played Dark Gaia, but definitely should have been in tier 3, tier 2. Probably tier 3, thinking about it. Neospatians as well. I know those topped recently. That could have been put in tier 3, tier 2. I think otherwise this point buy system worked out pretty well. I know a lot of the people in the tournament group were very happy with it, honestly. And they want to see it refined more, and I'm not quite sure how to do that. But, now with more data for Edison, as well as the data from this tournament, now that it's over, it's interesting to see what we could evaluate for the tier list next time, because maybe we could do it based off of some kind of data now, because we had 4 rounds of 7 matches each and a top 8. It's a decent amount of data. You can get some good interpretation from that. But we'll have to see about that. Alright, let's talk about the duelists that will be competing in this tournament. I made all of them little profile cards like this that are going to be shown before every match, so you have an idea of what they're playing, their tournament stats, how many tournaments they've been in, stuff like that. Oh, and also a little fun fact or achievement at the bottom left. So first off, this is myself, Jason. My greatest achievement, bottom left as you can see, I'm an above average duelist. Not much else. I decided to bring Fairies, Norliers, Dragons, Quick Draw Plants, Frog Combo, Diva Flip, and X-Sabers. Now, with the point buy system, there's kind of 2 routes to go about it, and we'll talk about those. I went the route of choosing several tier 2 decks, which are worth 3 points out of the 14. That way to get a bit more of an even spread. As for tournament, this is my first one, so let's move on. Next, we have Adrian, aka the best Fire Fist player in New Jersey. He is on Vayu Turbo, Machina Gadgets, Frog Monarchs, Plant Dragons, Gravekeepers, Relinquished. He went with the 1 tier 1 deck and 3 tier 2s. His overall record is 1-2, and this is his second tournament appearance. Next, we have Anthony C., aka a Mortal Kombat 11 Elder God ranked player. I think that's the highest rank or something. He told me it was very impressive. I believe him. He's on Blackwings, Machina Gadgets, Gladiator Beasts, X-Sabers, Six Sams, and Immortal Bushi. Of note, this tournament is basically his first time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! We kind of needed another person to fill in. Well, he went undefeated playing Blackwings twice, not in this tournament, just in paper, and he said, yeah, sure, I'll play. So, he's in it. Next, we have Chris, aka the luckiest player alive. He is on Fairies, Quick Draw Plants, Hero Beat, Diva Zombies, Monster Mash, and Ojamas. He has an overall record of 0-2 from the first tournament, and he was on Watts originally, as you could tell by his dueling book name, and he is back for redemption. Next, we have Josh, aka Joshua333, or a hard-stuck Diamond TFT player. He is on Lightsworn, Vayu Turbo, Glad Beasts, X-Sabers, Six Sams, and Athena. Of note, since he was top 2 in the last tournament, he got second place. He was able to get 16 points for the point buy, letting him take 2 tier 1 decks, Lightsworn and Vayu Turbo, and another tier 2 deck as well, and then the rest being all tier 3. So pretty solid. Overall, he was 3-2, and this is his second tournament. Next, we have Nico, Super Nerf Gun, aka Heartstuck Gold player for a regular League of Legends. He decided to bring Lightsworn, Machina Gadgets, Hero Beat, Six Sams, X-Sabers, Monster Mash. He went with the 1 tier 1, 2 tier 2 strategy. For past experience, he went 1-2 and was out pretty quickly in the last tournament, sadly. Next, we have Noel, aka Instafluffs. Sorry, I'm laughing at his quote of Stratus at 3 was peak Yu-Gi-Oh! On Diva Hero, Hero Beat, Fairies, Glad Beasts, Crystal Beasts, and Zombie Fairies. In the first tournament, he was on Fabled, and he also went out pretty quickly with an 0-2, so he's also back for revenge with Chris. Next, we have Brad, another newcomer. It was the right play. He is on Norlira's Dragons, Machina Gadgets, Gladiator Beasts, Frog Monarchs, Flameville Sworn, and Monster Mash. Now, another cool thing about this tournament is we get to see what players are known for, and as you can tell by his profile picture, Brad is known for his Gladiator Beasts. He actually topped a YCS back in wind-up format when Gladiator Beasts had no business topping. So, pretty cool achievement for him. He also topped several events previously during Glad format. Next, we have Anthony G, who doesn't know what scraps do. He is on Diva Hero, Diva Zombies, Hero Beat, Flameville Sworn, Diva Flip, and Chaos. He was 3-2 in the last tournament, and he hit top 4. Anthony is definitely known as a good deck builder, and he is known for Heroes and Zombies, which he conveniently got to bring, so I'm excited to see where he goes from here. Next we have Dan. You've probably heard him on most of the commentary for the first tournament, aka Suicide X13 and the Sexiest Man Alive. He is on Diva Hero, Vayu Turbo, Glad Beasts, Monster Mash, Synchrocaster, and Dark Gaia. So he is on the 2 Tier 1 strat, and then Tier 2, and the rest being Tier 3s. In the last run, he went 2-2 and got 4th place secured, so he's in a pretty good spot right now. Next, we have Eric, aka Discato, another newcomer, aka Sexier than the Sexiest Man Alive. He is our resident dragon expert, and he is on Disaster Dragon, Turbo Dragon, Norlira's Dragons, Monster Mash, Kodara's, and Chaos. Yeah, this man likes dragons, not much else to say about that. Next we have Mark, our returning champion, Azeroth144, Journey Before Pancakes. Comment down below if you understand that reference. He is on Light Sworn, Disaster Dragon, Frog Monarchs, Diva Flip, Athena, Psychics. He is on that tier 1-1-2-3-3-3 strategy that the other top 2 player from the last tournament is also on. He has the best overall record for the remainder of all the tournaments because he went 5-1. Last tournament, he ended up beating Josh back-to-back for the bracket reset. And he is our first champion, so let's see if he could run it back. Next, another newcomer, we have Rick, aka 530 Gnocchi, I think is how he pronounces it. He once got 17th place, which is the bubble, at an ARG with Zodiac in 2017. He doesn't know the date himself or what tournament, and none of our friends do, so yeah. He is on Plant Dragon, Machina Gadgets, Quick Draw Plants, Diva Zombies, Six Sams, and Flameville Sworn. He went with the full tier 2 strategy, basically. Let's see how that will pan out. He's one of the few. And lastly, we have who I like to deem the People's Champion, Roach, aka JRoach33. He top 16'd a Shonen Jump Philly in 2007, long time ago, I believe, playing Burn as well. That was what he is known for, as well as helping foster the creation of Chain Burn. He is on Synchro Cat, Skull Servants, Gigaplant, Ojama, Yubel, and Destiny and Dragoon. So, you can tell already that this guy is a clear cut for first, playing 1 tier 3 deck and all tier 4s. He has my vote. Okay, so here are the pick rates of each deck separated by tier. And later we'll have some pie charts to show how it's going. So looking over here at the tier 1 decks, we have 3 Diva Hero, 3 Lightsworn, 3 Vayu Turbo, 2 Disaster Dragon, 1 Blackwings, 1 Turbo Dragon. Now, of note, no one picked Fish OTK, which is funny because I was going to pick it. Point cost was a bit too high and the deck had been underperforming lately, even for me, before I even knew that it was going to start falling behind in Edison. Seeing if there's anything interesting here based on the other decks, but not really. No one went on Diva Frogs, which ironically was probably one of the stronger decks at the time. I probably should have done that since I like playing Frogs. Next, looking at the tier 2 decks, of note the top 2 being Machina Gadgets and Gladiator Beasts. I don't think that's surprising, followed closely by Hero Beat. Very solid lists. However, Monarchs and Quick Draw Plants, especially Quick Draw Plants, kind of falling behind. I think Quick Draw Plants should have been picked a lot more, as well as Fairies. I know I was on that one. Hindsight being 2020. Same with Diva Zombies. And Norlira's Dragons picking up another high spot on the list, which is kind of funny, because the deck's kind of a meme deck, I guess you could say. Definitely people enjoyed playing that one. That was a total of 32 tier 2 decks playing. I think that makes the most sense based on just being 3 points and you having a total of 14. It's pretty solid. A lot of people like to max out on just tier 2 decks instead of even going for a single tier 1. Next, looking at the tier 3s, we have definitely a resounding amount playing Monster Mash, Six Samurai, and X-Sabers. In my opinion, Six Samurais and X-Sabers are kind of bad in this format. Monster Mash is fine, and we'll see how it ends up performing later. Diva Flip and Flameville Sworn, these also did pretty well without giving some spoilers. Diva Flip, I think, just being good because it's just a deck with good cards and Pot of Avarice, trap cards. It's going to work no matter what. Flame Veilsworn, also just solid because Flame Veils are pretty good. I know E3 Yu-Gi-Oh! Is putting out a lot of videos involving Flame Veils nowadays. I think their potential hasn't fully been reached yet. Also have 2 on Athena, 1 on Psychics, and 1 on Synchro Cat. Going to tier 4, we have 2 on Chaos and 2 on Ojama, and the rest being single 1-ofs. All of these were generally fine. Now let's take a look at the charts real quick that I made. Very simple Google Sheets charts. I didn't go super in-depth or anything. Just seeing a good breakdown of the decks, Machina Gadgets and Glide Beasts being the most popular out of any tier for tier 1 and tier 2. Not too surprising. I think the biggest surprise looking at this now is Turbo Dragon and Black Wings on 1. They're very, very strong decks in my opinion. I think, personally, Turbo Dragon's the best deck in the format. That's just me. It's a little degenerate, but that's me. Not much else to say about that, really. Oh, no, I just noticed here. Frog Combo was a single deck that I decided to pilot and put it in tier 2. You'll see a video on it. I'm not going to bother showing the deck list, but basically it's similar to Frog Slicer's deck, where he kind of just combos off and then hand loops opponents, or that's what he used to do. He doesn't do that anymore. I went with kind of a synchro route. I didn't play Exodius. I didn't go for an infinite loop. I just decided to be like, I wonder what would happen if you just put a bunch of frogs in and see how much you could do on turn 1. And that's what I went for. So it's a fun deck. It's not really good, in my opinion. I think it's okay. Maybe it has potential, but I doubt it. Either way, let's take a look at the tier 3, tier 4 decks. I left them all on here because I found it really funny that Google Sheets actually compiled this. Monster Mash 6, Salmon X-Sabers being the highest picked here, followed by Diva Flip, Flame Veilsworn. Interesting stats. I'm very interested to see how Monster Mash does, even though I know the answer already. Let's just say it's going to be a bit interesting, people dropping Gallus on people, along with some Caiuses. Now, with that in mind, I think we have everything covered. Definitely looking back on the tier list, there are some regrets that should have been changed in hindsight, but at the time, people didn't understand the full potential of what they were doing. The players have been introduced, the rules have been introduced, the decks have been introduced, the deck lists are going to be in a giant paste bin, probably, or a Google Doc. The lists are going to be present there, feel free to click them. If any of them are disabled, let me know and I can go get them, because all of them should have been screenshotted, I believe, and I can find them out for you. Otherwise, thank you for joining me. I should be posting the matches probably in a couple weeks. I want to get most of them done before I start posting. Right now, I'm finished with up to round 2, and there are 4 rounds plus a top 8. But they actually go pretty quickly since I'm now doing post commentary. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a good day, duelists.